As a 90s kid, I absolutely loved Dexter's Lab and the Powerpuff Girls, but could there be a hidden connection between the two shows? Is Dee Dee actually a Powerpuff Girl created by Professor Utonium? I'm your host as always, K-Mac Time, and welcome to another cartoon conspiracy theory. Now, as a kid, I couldn't help but wonder how Professor Utonium's famous experiment may have turned out had he not accidentally added in the strong dose of chemical X to the mixture of sugar, spice, and everything nice.
Sugar, spice, and everything nice. These were the ingredients chosen to create the perfect little girl. But Professor Utonium accidentally added an extra ingredient to the concoction.
After all, if he was smart enough to figure out a working chemical formula for the perfect little girls, he most likely would have attempted the procedure more than once. Maybe at some point before the birth of the Powerpuff Girls, a kindly suburban couple from outside of Townsville was futilely trying to have a baby, but unsuccessful, and they may have went to him for help. Maybe Professor Utonium actually took pity on them and agreed to make them the perfect daughter in his laboratory, and maybe they named that daughter Dee Dee. Yes, I know it sounds crazy, but keep in mind here, it's pretty well established that Dexter's Lab and the Powerpuff Girls take place within the same loosely defined universe. Dexter may have never teamed up with the girls directly per se, but there are a few reoccurring characters who show up in both shows. First off, of course, Dexter is a big fan of the Justice Friends, Major Glory Van Halen and the Infragile Crunk, of which two of the Justice Friends show up in the episode of the Powerpuff Girls called Members Only as members of the Association of World Supermen. There are also the dim-witted kids show host of the Puppet Pals, Puppet Pal Mitch and Puppet Pal Clem, of which both Dee Dee and the Powerpuff Girls enjoy watching. And of course, we've actually seen Dexter himself in the background of many Powerpuff Girls episodes, so this happens multiple times. So it is extremely clear that these two shows take place within the same universe. And consider what we know about Dee Dee. She's comically sweet and innocent girl. Her parents treat her as the perfect child, and they don't always do the same for Dexter. She's different from her younger brother Dexter in almost every possible way, making you wonder sometimes if they really are biologically related or not. Another thing worth pointing out about Dee Dee is she's always wearing one color. She's always wearing pink. And she hangs out with two similarly named girls named Mimi and Lily who have their own one color coded wardrobes similar to the Powerpuff Girls. Also, she has big blue eyes and blonde pigtails, and this might even remind you of a certain Powerpuff Girl. Yes, that's right. Appearance-wise, she could easily be Bubbles' older sister. It really looks very similar here. The art styles are similar, obviously, and their eyes and the hair are very similar. So if it really were possible to create a human girl from sugar, spice, and everything nice, it's not hard to imagine that she might look and act a bit like Dee Dee does.
Dee Dee, take off my hydroplasmatic inflation suit this instant!
Ooh, what does it do? What does it do?
But above all else, despite her sweet personality, Dee Dee seems to have a particular aptitude for wrecking Dexter's many beloved experiments in his lab. It's practically her entire character's gimmick and her thing. But why? Why does she do this? Does she just enjoy causing mischief? Is she really just kind of dumb? Or does it reveal something deeper and darker about her character we may not have known? Maybe deep down, she actually has a simmering resentment for the advanced science technology because she suspects that she was originally a lab experiment as well. And she suspects that her creator gave her away and doesn't love her, leaving her with this deep, dark resentment towards anything about science. Maybe Dee Dee is really the world's cutest reimagining of Frankenstein monster, and Professor Utonium is Dr. Frankenstein. And if you want to take this theory one step further, looping back to previous things about Dee Dee, Mimi, and Lily, maybe they were all made in Professor Utonium's lab and adopted by different families in this same neighborhood, making them all the predecessors of Bubbles, Blossom, and Buttercups. Maybe they were trial runs. Maybe they were something before that. He was doing tests just to see how to do this. And that's what he came up with, and then he gave them up for adoption. I mean, you think about it, they do have their own crime-fighting group in an episode called The Girl Squad, which is eerily similar to the Powerpuff Girls, except they don't have superpowers, of course. They do their own color schemes, like I said. Their names are very similar. They look very similar. And if Dexter and Dee Dee's parents knew Professor Utonium, maybe he was the one who encouraged Dexter's interest in science and inspired him to build his laboratory. And maybe this explains why Dexter spends so much time isolated from his family in his lab. He knows that his parents will never appreciate him as much as they appreciate Dee Dee because she is the tailor-made perfect little girl. She's made to be perfect. After all, how can you measure up to an older sibling who is literally made from sugar, spice, and everything nice? I mean, that's just impossible. Anyway, to wrap this all up here, Dee Dee is a comically sweet and innocent, charming girl because she's made from sugar, spice, and everything nice, and she spends so much time wrecking her brother's laboratory because she secretly resents him because she was made in a lab herself. Pretty mind-blowing theory here, guys. I know it's got a lot of things kind of connecting without much evidence, but I thought it was so cool. And I want to give a big thank you and shout out to the Reddit user, the Mighty Heptagon, for coming up with this. I'll leave a link to the original post. You guys can go read that. Leave him some love over on Reddit. It was an amazing theory he came up with. Appreciate it to that. Also, thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please do me a favor, hit that like button down below and share this video with anyone who may be thinking is a fan of anything Cartoon Network like that. Also, be sure to check out some of my previous cartoon conspiracy theory videos. I've done hundreds of them over the years. And if you guys are new around here, feel free to subscribe for more videos like this in your sub boxes daily. But until next time, guys, remember that it's always K-Mac time somewhere. Till then, take it easy and peace out.
Right in.
Ready to jump.